Controversy in the middle of the holiday season in New York City. Ads funded by the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee are on display in Times Square. One says Jesus would tear down that wall. Another goes on to say Jesus is a Palestinian. The organization says its goal is to spark dialogue about faith, identity, and shared values during a peak holiday movement. The executive director of the organization says most of the Americans in this country are Christian, and the birthplace of Christianity is Palestine. If people want to go back and forth and debate it, then great. The billboard sparked debate. At least you're having a conversation about it. Otherwise, we're silenced and our voices and positions don't come out. So, David, Jesus was a devout Jew, and it was during his time of birth, which we just celebrated, that three wise men from the east declared, "Where is he who was born King of the Jews?" And while he was born in a region that is now split between Palestinian and Israeli territory, and he loves both groups of people evenly, I think it is safe to say that this billboard is taking some earthly liberties.
Yeah, first, as the person who's literally climbed down into some of the digs in the West Bank, including in Shiloh and other areas, still haven't found any coin or any history, but let's put the facts aside for the moment. One, you couldn't put this billboard up in Bethlehem, where they were actually celebrating this season. It's a lot more peaceful. Two, when it comes to these kinds of billboards and they come up and they go on, sometimes I'm just in the camp of ignore them and just go away. First of all, he puts up a bunch of falsehoods under a false claim, rather than wanting to spark a discussion about, oh, I don't know, the Judeo-Christian founding of this country, the Western Hellenic values that were put in. And as J.D. Vance said at Turning Point USA quite accurately, that while we're a Christian nation, you don't have to be a Christian to come here. Why? Because of our Constitution, our Declaration, our Bill of Rights. That's not someone interested in a discussion. That's someone interested in a narrative. Maybe this is the beginning of the Mamdani event in New York. When you see what's coming with Linda Sarsour and more, wait for it.
Yeah, well, Lydia, it is often that people use Jesus to make a modern-day political point. It's very common for pro-illegal immigration advocates to say Jesus was a refugee, Jesus was an immigrant, would ICE arrest him? But how can you take Jesus' life 2,000 years ago and copy and paste it into present day? But that's what a lot of people try to do.
That's exactly what they're trying to do with this billboard, because the whole concept, the way that they're using the term Palestinian in this case did not exist at the birth of Jesus Christ more than 2,000 years ago. So it's a total mismatch, a misnomer here, and misleading. I do appreciate what the executive director of the group is saying, that he's trying to spark dialogue and conversation with a billboard that I say is very provocative. You can just look at it. Bright green, bold letters, all caps. It's intended to be, inciting some type of conversation. And here we are talking about it, so mission accomplished. However, what I don't appreciate is that he says that the whole mission and the message behind this, he says, is America first. And I think a lot of people would disagree with that idea, because I took a look at the organization and the other issues that they're advocating for and championing. If you just take a look at, for example, immigration reforms, pathway to citizenship for millions, ending detention measures currently used by DHS, restoration of due process rights for all immigrants, full protection of rights for migrant workers. I mean, I just think that's a bit of a stretch to say that this whole message and the whole organization is America first, when quite clearly it is against what many of the priorities of the administration
So you just explained what the tear down that wall billboard was all about, because I was like, Ronald Reagan, really? Oh, we're talking about the other wall. Kaylee, what do you think about all of this?
I do also find the organization's comments a little bit ironic when he said, well, if we don't get this conversation started, our voices just won't be heard at all and will be silenced. Trust me, that is not a problem here. Anyone who has had to witness one of the pro-Palestinian protests knows that the problem is not too much silence on their part. I think that using this sort of ahistorical nonsense to make a political point actually hurts the pro-Palestinian cause in a way that I don't think that they fully appreciate. Because if you have to use ahistorical nonsense to justify what's going on in modern day history, it sort of signals an insecurity with the actual arguments for the pro-Palestinian cause in today's modern story. So, you shouldn't have to revise the past in order to justify the present. And if that's what you're having to do, says a lot about your argument.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because, Donna, this executive director of the Arab American Organization was asked, is his group disputing that Jesus was Jewish? And his response was, Jesus lives within all of us, and that the subject was up for interpretation.
I mean, again, that's an easy answer to fit the narrative that you are trying to put forth. Obviously, that's not the case. That's not the history, and it's not the truth. So in order to continue that, it's like we live in this world that everybody talks about my truth. No, there's no such thing. There's the truth. And you have a perception, you have a position, you can take those. But again, I agree with David, this notion of, this should be up for debate. Yeah, maybe, but I think that if we just ignore it, sometimes this stuff goes away. This is exactly what they want. They want us having this conversation. We've watched this happen now through the election of Mamdani, through the election of other Muslims throughout our whole political system here. Look at Minneapolis and look what's going on there. We're watching this go on, and this is an infiltration trying to change the basic foundation of the country in which we live. Yeah. And so I think we have to look at this in a little bit more of a serious way. And they're taking us down this road that's very different than the one that we've built our whole world on.
Yeah.
Taking everything here, you don't invite conversation by inciting differences with a historical lack of facts.
Yeah.
Think about it. He's not inviting in a conversation. He wants to be talked about. And you know what? You're just not worth it.
Yeah. As you were speaking, Donna, I was thinking there are a lot of people out there who support this billboard who also really do not like this country. But isn't it great that we live in a country where this billboard can be put up and we can openly discuss it?
And where there's an exit strategy, if you don't like the country, you can leave.
How about that?
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.